Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of GT History, the video series where I talk about some of the craziest stories of the most capitalist MMO out there, Growtopia. Today's episode is truly legendary. It is about how the legendary items were found out, who the first players were to obtain them, and many more mysteries, some of which have been planned over years. Also, there's going to be a special announcement at the end of this video. Get your popcorn ready because you're going to enjoy this. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. It all started in August of 2014. Well, actually, the legendary update was planned way ahead of that time, but that's the date when the legendary items were actually added to the game. Another cool thing that was added with this update was the diamond lock, which is actually unbelievable now that back then there were no diamond locks in the game. But that's just a side fact, so let's get back on topic. Alongside the new update, there was also a new video uploaded to the official Growtopia channel, which showcased some new legendary items. A mysterious player named Barney wore all of the new legendary items, but nobody knew how to get them. And that's where the fun truly began. Players knew that you had to talk to a legendary wizard, but nobody had a clue on how to find it or how to make one. Tons of crazy theories were floating around on the forums, just like you saw in my last video about the biggest mystery in Growtopia history. It was crazy, and it was a really exciting time to be a player back then. Players also found out that a world called Legendary Mountain was locked by Hamumu himself, and it was under construction. After days of players discussing possible recipes, suddenly the players Taki, ZurUPK, and Asserts had the first wizard in their world. They didn't want to make the recipe public though, which is why they sold the recipe to other players, such as Jake Shore, who then went on to make a wizard together with the player AdMax1, a player we're gonna hear more about later on in this video. As the time went on, the recipe for the wizard got public, and it turned out that it has been planned for a long time. You see, the two seeds, Legend and Dairy, which are needed to splice a legendary wizard, consist of 3 machine parts each, and they have been added to the game over the last year with various updates, but they had no use until the legendary update. So now that the wizard has been found, who were the first players to complete each quest and get the first legendary item for their own? Well, the last step to complete any of the legendary quests is to deliver a legendary orb to the wizard, which you get by climbing the legendary mountain. This mountain, however, could be climbed by anybody back in the day, which is why when it opened, everybody tried to get to the top. The problem, however, was that it didn't just consist of parkour levels, but also quiz and some riddles to solve, which were really hard. And so it took a few days until the first player was able to climb the legendary mountain. His name is DodoMan11, and he was part of the Forumers team, who collectively solved the mysteries together. When he and the Forumers reached the top, they were greeted by a legendary wizard, or Hamumu cosplaying a legendary wizard. He actually watched the Forumers climb the mountain and congratulated them when they reached the top. It was a special moment, and in my opinion, events like this are what made old Growtopia so legendary. Which is why I hope we're going to see more events like this in the future. Anyway, now that we got the orb, who was the first player to complete a legendary quest? And what item did he get? In October of 2014, only 2 months after the legendary update came out, a player by the name Gromir was able to finish the first quest and became the first legendary player in Growtopian history. He finished the Quest of Heavens, which awarded him the legendary wings. With those wings, he became an instant superstar. Nobody else had them, and everybody went crazy when they saw them. He said he spent over 50 diamond locks on the quest, which in today's amount of world locks is about 10 blue gem locks. Gromir was a truly legendary player, but it's not the only time you're going to hear his name in this video. But what about the other legendary items? Well, only 5 days later, a player by the name Qcas completed the Quest of Fire, which awarded him the first legendary dragon. Just like Gromir, he became a superstar overnight, and everybody wanted to see this big, purple, beautiful dragon. By the way, the player to get the second legendary dragon was also Gromir, the player we met before. Exactly 1 month later, in November of 2014, the player by the name Noctis X was able to get the first legend bot in Growtopia. A legendary robot is the dream item of many Growtopians, as it simply makes you twice as big as a normal player and also has some other very cool effects. Back in 2014, most items were pretty basic too, which is why a big robot sticked out a lot. So here we are, just 3 months after the legendary update, and only one legendary item is left to be obtained. The legendary title, which to this day is one of the hardest legendary items to obtain, turned out to be a real challenge. But one player, called AdMax1, was really close to getting it. AdMax1 was a really popular player back in the day. Being a professional item hunter, he found tons of new items as soon as they came out. The legendary title though was on another level. Not only do you have to provide a Growy award, as well as 3 golden heart crystals, which already costs more than 10 blue gem blocks nowadays, but back when the quest came out, you also had to deliver 10 golden diapers, and that's just insane. After players complained that this step is just impossible, the developers listened to the players and changed it from 10 to 3 golden diapers, saying it was a bug. But even 3 golden diapers is a lot, which is why it took AdMax1 almost 6 months to complete the quest. And in February of 2015, he finally got his title. Just like the other owners of legendary items, he became a superstar. And because the name was also visible in super broadcasts, he started making a ton of diamond blocks by selling SBs for a super high price. Now you might think, okay, that's all the first legendary players. But I got news for you, there's more legendary items to come. In April of 2015, a new update was released to Growtopia. The update introduced the legendary katana, a huge golden sword. Everybody was hyped because they added another legendary item, and many rich players wanted to be the first to own one. It's also worth mentioning that the legendary katana has been a meme for a while in the Growtopia community, and it's very surprising that they actually added it to the game. And although the quest for the legendary katana was very hard, for example, you had to deliver 3 heavenly scythes in order to complete step 7. It only took the first player less than 1 month to complete it, and you can already guess who it was. In April of 2015, Gromir was the first person to complete the quest for the legendary katana, which made him the owner of 3 legendary items, a record at the time. But speaking of records, it was also in 2015 when the player Washipal, a player we've talked about on this channel before, managed to pull off something crazy. He was able to obtain all 5 legendary items released at the time in less than 1 month. Imagine that, all 5 legendary items in less than a month. And he uploaded it as a video series to his YouTube channel, so you can watch it yourself. Although many players think so, the katana isn't the last legendary item that has been added to the game. In fact, there are 2 more. In May of 2018, almost 3 years after the legendary katana has been added to the game, a new, mysterious quest appeared on the legendary wizard. It was called Quest of Candor. No showcase video has been uploaded to the Growtopia YouTube channel, so nobody knew what the item was. And although the quest was very hard, only about 1 month later, the player called Snapchat managed to complete it. The quest rewarded him with an item called Legendary Whip, which, when you punch with it, has the same effect as using a secret of Growtopia, so it's good for finding hidden recipes. Although if you just used it for that purpose, it wouldn't be worth it. Since you can get secrets of Growtopia for the price of 100 per world log, you would have to use the whip 13 million times in order to make it worth it. The design for the Whip of Truth comes from the Lasso of Truth used by Wonder Woman. And although it looks pretty cool, most players find the Whip of Truth the least legendary looking item, which is probably also why it's the least popular one. So that's 6 legendary items in total already, but there's one more. In February of 2019, a new legendary quest was added alongside the Dragon Invasion update, the Quest for the Sky. This quest is also the most expensive one out of all legendary quests. Not only do you have to deliver 10 autumn wings, but also 1 golden dragon statue, which can only be obtained by placing first in the monthly pet battle tournament. But that didn't stop the player called Eldrigo from completing it. Eldrigo was another super rich Growtopian who was famous for owning more than 200 draconic wings, an item that was also required to complete the quest. When he finished it, he was rewarded with the legendary dragon wings, a huge pair of red wings that made everybody shiver when they saw it. This is also why when you ask Growtopians which their favorite legendary item is, many will say it's the legendary dragon wings. Unfortunately, Eldrigo later on was banned from Growtopia, so he and his legendary wings will never be seen in the game again. Wow, what a legendary video. It all started with some useless robot parts and ended with the coolest items of the game. But did it really end here? It has been over 2 years now since the last legendary item has been added to the game. So it's time for another one to come. Which item would you like to see next? Let me know down below in the comments. I also got a special announcement that I kept for the end of this video. I have been building on the world called Make Growtopia Great Again for a while now, and I think it will be finished very soon, which is why I'm looking for admins. The goal of the world is to encourage players to socialize more instead of focusing on world locks and being greedy. It should be a nice hangout world where you can go to if you're bored and just have fun with other Growtopians, YouTubers or even moderators. This is why I need some admins. If you think you would be fit to host games or giveaways in the world and have some fun, you can fill out the survey, which is linked in the description or the comments below. I'm looking forward to your applications. But that's it for this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. That's it. Peace out.